Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 595. I had the white pieces and played d4 and my opponent went d5. So I go with the Queen's Gambit c4. You see that's the most popular choice here. And now my opponent plays a very rare defense, knight f6. This is known as the Marshall defense. And it's one of those openings that's rare for a good reason because it's just not very good. You can play along with knight f3 here. Continue with knight f3, I mean to say, but then you get into more of a normal opening where black has reasonable chances. Now the way to refute this is to grab that pawn, and then when he takes back, you don't play e4 right away, but you come out with knight f3 first is the more accurate move order, because black can get some counterplay with the move e5, so knight f3 just stops that, and it turns out he can't prevent you from playing e4 anyway. So, for example, if he plays bishop f5, you can just bring your knight here, and now you're threatening this move, forking those two pieces. So you're going to get in that e4 move anyway. My opponent didn't play like that. He just developed with knight c6, and we are out of the opening book here. So, yeah, after other moves besides bishop f5, you just play e4 here, kicking the knight back. And this is why this is not a good opening. This is white just has more space here. He hasn't suffered any particular damage. He has no development problems. And black's pieces are not necessarily well posted over here. On the queen side, they'll typically have to move around to get back into the game. Let's see. He plays e6 to slow down the rushing pawns from coming forward. Let's see, there was one other point I wanted to make here. Instead of knight c6, the other way to play this is with this pawn coming forward, pawn to g7 and bishop, pawn to g6 and bishop to g7. If you're going to play the Marshall Gambit, that's a way you can play it. But anyway, knight to c6 is not the best way to play it. It kind of walks into more tempos with the pawns here. Okay, so I went e4 here, the knight dropped back, I develop. Plays e6 to slow down my pawns, and I play bishop to b5, pinning this knight and threatening to push the pawns on again. So he has to block that, which he does, and now I castle, and it's pretty comfortable position for white. It's not like you're going to win right out of the opening, but if your opponent plays like this, you get a good game, and you have nothing to fear. So anyway, he continued with bishop b4. I kicked the bishop, and he decided to trade. So a3 he takes, I take, and then I go, oh, he went knight a5. I guess this was his idea, to get the knight to a better position and also to trade off the bishop. Now I want to keep the bishop. One of my advantages here is I have a pair of bishops and he doesn't, and also I have a little more space. Our development is really about the same. I don't have an advantage in development, but he hasn't castled, and I haven't developed this bishop, so the development is about equal. But he continues with knight a to c4. This adventure with the knight is probably not the greatest idea. I go queen e2, putting pressure, and he goes bishop b5. So right here there's a tactic that I missed, but if you want to see if you can figure out the best move for white here, it's an interesting little tactic. Okay, pause the video if you want some time to think about it. I'm going to give the answer away now. It has to do with this knight. Of course, I've got all this pressure on the knight. I have two pieces attacking it, and he has two pieces defending it. But those pieces can be harassed with this a-pawn. I push it forward, and if the bishop retreats on this diagonal, I'm just winning the knight, so it drops back this way. But then the pawn can be pushed forward once again and kick this knight away, and so this knight on c4 will be insufficiently defended. So that's the tactic and the simplest way to play the game. I didn't spot that. After bishop b5, I had the idea of putting more pressure on the knight, so I played this knight e5 move, and now I've got three pieces attacking it, and he's only got two defending it, so he's got to do something about it. He played the move a6, which is just kind of giving up. And I'm just a piece up after this. But if we back up, there are moves that he could play here. I think maybe there's just one move that's a good defense. But if you want to see if you can figure out the best defense for black in this position. Okay, I'm going to give the answer away once again. The best defense is to take off this knight. And now I was going to grab this bishop with check, thinking I would still be a piece up. But he can block the check and attack my bishop at the same time with this move c6. So I don't actually win a piece. I can either take his knight or retreat my bishop. And I think it's better to retreat the bishop. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's better to take the knight. This is the line the chess engine gave, because then I can at least grab a pawn here. But it's not the greatest pawn because I have these doubled pawns over here. And white is still better in this position. There's better development is evident, and this knight has not got a lot of squares. Notice how all those squares the knight might go to are controlled by white's pawns. So white still has an advantage. It's not a material advantage so much as just a better position. So that's how black could have continued on. After this a6 move, he's just down a piece, and he never really gets back into the game. I'll show you how it continued. Knight takes, he took with the knight, I take with the bishop, and he played c6, defending his bishop, but he doesn't lose a pawn this way, but it allows me to trade off another piece, and the more pieces I can trade off, the bigger my advantage will be with my extra piece, so I'm happy to see that. Anyway, the trading phase seems to be over. I just push on with my pawns, maybe try and get something against his king. He should probably castle here, but played this funny move h6, so now I go in with f5, and I get to take a pawn or trade pawns and get a check, drive his king to the side. I get my bishop out, and he plays f6, which is a really bad move because it allows my queen to come into the e6 square, controlling all the squares around his king. So his king is never going to be safe. He tries to trade queens like this, coming forward to d5, but I have a nice move here, which I found during the game. This would be, if it weren't for the queen here, this would just be a mate. This is a mating pattern with the queen covering all of these escape squares and the bishop complementing the queen. So he's forced to give up his queen at this point. And of course after this there's not much for him to do. He continued playing. And so at this point it becomes a matter of trying to put him away in the simplest fashion. And this check was a nice move. Queen here check. Brings in another attacker on this rook with tempo. So I pick up another piece here. And he kept playing, but after this I finally bring in my last piece. And he tried to run away, but there was no escape. So he played it all the way out to mate. But really the moral of this story, first of all, is don't play the martial defense. In this position you can defend the pawn with e6, c6, or you can take, playing the queen's gambit accepted. But knight f6 is not a good move. And then the second lesson is right here, when you're going to lose a piece. You really need to try and figure out the best way to escape the situation. And it turns out, it looks like this piece is in trouble because when it moves, the bishop goes, and it goes with check. But because of that c6 resource blocking the check and attacking the bishop, he can actually escape without losing a whole piece. So that's the way to play that. Okay, I hope you guys like this video. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.